Your phone is not just distracting you. It is rewiring your nervous system. Ever wonder why you are exhausted after scrolling for 10 minutes? It is not just distraction. It is your brain's default mode network going full overdrive. The algorithms feeding your feed are calibrated to trigger your sympathetic nervous system. Functional magnetic resonance imaging studies show that when your default mode network lights up during constant digital input, your cortisol spikes and your heart rate variability plummets. This is not just about feeling tired. It is about your nervous system being pushed into a constant state of alertness, which is exactly what Stephen Porges identified as the opposite of safety. The communities tracking their heart rate variability, their sleep architecture, their pupil response are starting to ask the same question researchers have been circling for a decade. Is attention a behavioral skill or a measurable physiological variable? The evidence suggests it is the latter, and the protocols emerging from this intersection between neuroscience and systems design are reshaping how we think about cognitive load. The next question, then, is whether we can actually measure and optimize it in real time. Attention does not just come or go. It can be trained. Studies from Media Lab show that when people practice sustained attention with minimal interruption, their brains develop what is called thalamocortical coherence in the gamma band. This is the same neural signature we see in elite athletes before competition. The same signature we see in surgeons during complex procedures. The same signature we see in anyone who has ever entered that state where time dissolves and everything else falls away. Here is the uncomfortable part. This state is becoming increasingly rare, not because we have lost the capacity for it, because our environment has made it harder to access. Every notification, every ping, every algorithmically timed interruption fragments the very state we are trying to enter. And the more we fragment it, the less we feel safe enough to return to it. The question is not whether you can achieve flow. It is whether your environment protects it. You feel it in your chest, do not you? That tightness when your phone buzzes. It is not just the sound. It is your body registering a rhythm it has to respond to. When that buzz hits, your nervous system does not just register the content. It registers the pattern. And here is the layer most people miss. Your body is not wired to respond to meaning. It is wired to respond to rhythm. This is why the same mechanism that makes a surgeon's hands steady during a complex procedure can be disrupted by a single notification. It is not about what the notification says. It is about the pattern your body has to sync to. You have probably felt it too. That moment when you are scrolling and suddenly you are not really seeing the screen anymore. Your mind has gone somewhere else. That is not distraction. That is your brain trying to sync with the rhythm of input and failing. And the result is a kind of nervous system fatigue that no amount of coffee or sleep can fully undo. The answer is not just to stop the input. It is to retrain your nervous system to respond to the pattern of input, not the content of input. And the way to do that is by listening to the rhythm of your own nervous system. But here is the thing most people miss. The rhythm of your nervous system is not just about the input. It is about the gap between the input and the response. And that gap is where the real magic happens. But I will stop there. Because the next thing you need to know is what happens inside that gap. And it is going to change everything. What happens inside that gap is that your nervous system is reading the rhythm of the input, not the content of it. That pattern, that rhythm, is what is being disrupted by every ping, every notification, every algorithmically timed interruption. And here is the layer most people miss. Your body is not wired to respond to meaning. It is wired to respond to rhythm. This is why the same mechanism that makes a surgeon's hands steady during a complex procedure can be disrupted by a single notification. And the result is a kind of nervous system fatigue that no amount of coffee or sleep can fully undo. The next question, then, is whether we can actually measure and optimize it in real time. What if your nervous system is measuring you, not you measuring it? Your body is not just responding to what is on the screen. It is responding to the rhythm, the pattern, the constant, fragmented bursts of input. And when that rhythm is disrupted, your autonomic nervous system does not just react, it resets. It recalibrates. It starts to read the gap between the input and the response. Studies are showing that when the rhythm of digital input is too fast, your vagal tone drops, your heart rate variability plummets, your cortisol spikes. But here is the thing most people miss. It is not the content. It is the pattern. You feel it in your chest, do not you? That tightness when your phone buzzes. It is not just the sound. It is your body registering a rhythm it has to respond to. And when that rhythm is disrupted, your autonomic nervous system does not just react, it resets. So the question is not whether you can afford to scroll. It is whether you can afford to not scroll. Because if your nervous system is measuring you, what happens when it realizes it is being measured? The numbers keep climbing, and nobody is telling you what they actually measure. It recalibrates every time. Researchers have found that the average person's attentional bandwidth has dropped by roughly 40% in just 2 decades. But the calibration matters more than the number. Because the number only tells you the symptom. The calibration tells you the cause. The next question is what happens when you stop measuring and start responding. The protocol you have been circling has a name. A structured digital detox protocol. 3 hours of uninterrupted input-free time before bed. That is the calibration window your nervous system needs to reset. During that window, the default mode network quiets down. The cortisol rhythm smooths out. The vagal tone rises. Your heart rate variability recovers. This is not theory. This is what happens when you give your nervous system a window to return to baseline. The communities tracking their metrics are seeing the same pattern. Structured detox protocols produce measurable changes in sleep architecture, in attentional bandwidth, in how you feel in your own body. You can measure it. You can feel it. The full protocol, including how to integrate it with Whoop, Aurea, and other quantified self-stacks, is at that archive contains every citation, every protocol tested. This is the research, and it is yours to use. Most people think the problem is the device. But the shift is not about the device. It is about what you carry inside when you are not holding it. The detox you just learned is not the end of it. It is the beginning of a new habit. And that habit starts the moment you notice yourself noticing. You start noticing things you did not before. The way your body responds to silence. The way certain moments feel heavier when they are not interrupted. The way attention settles when it is not being chased. That shift is the real point. The protocols, the metrics, the quantified self-stacks, they are just the tools. The quiet change underneath is what actually changes you. And it is something you cannot measure, but you can feel. The full research archive is at jmthomasofficial.com. Full research archive. This is the research, and it is yours to use.